I watched a little bit of the preview, the Fontaine, whatever it's called, and there's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot of really awesome French influence. We want to talk about the music. We're going to watch the music together. Buckle up. It's going to be a long one. Here we go. First of all, if it's not obvious, Fontaine means fountain. Fontaine. That is fountain in French. The land of the Hydro Archon, we understand that. That's as obvious. You probably already know this. But it's worth pointing out that that's, Also, just in terms of character names, Lyney means little lion. Lynette means idol. So that's worth pointing out. And fremisent, meaning change lover, intelligence, and confident. There's a type of enemy called the armored crab, Fontemer Aberrant, which aberrant, by the way, in French means contraire à la raison, preposterous, means contraire à la raison, against reason, contrary to reason, preposterous. Une décision aberrante, a preposterous decision. Here they talk about Ousia and Pneuma, and just so you know, Ousia is a philosophical and theological term originally used in ancient Greek philosophy. Then later in Christian theology, it was used by various ancient Greek philosophers as a primary designation for philosophical concepts of essence or substance. The generally agreed upon meaning, based on Wikipedia, of Ousia in Eastern Christianity is all that subsists by itself and which has not its being in another. And Pneuma, the vital spirit, soul, or creative force of a person. There's a lot of Greek actually in here, and archetypes. Our principle is an ancient Greek philosophical term building on earlier uses. Aristotle established it as a technical term with a number of related meanings, including originating source, cause, principle of knowledge, and basic entity. The CALLAS line, named after Maria Callas, I would assume the absolutely famous opera singer Maria Callas. It's absolutely huge. I can't believe how big this is.
还能听到我们可爱的小导游对于沿途的地标还有枫丹一些特有的风土人情的介绍。这种可爱的森林呢，叫做美露心。
Melusine. Melusine is a figure of European folklore, a female spirit of fresh water in a holy well or river. Things like this. Melusine is a figure of European folklore and mythology, a female spirit of fresh water in a sacred spring or river, usually depicted as a woman who is a serpent or fish from the waist down, much like a mermaid. She's also sometimes illustrated with wings, two tails, or both. Most employees of the Marechaussee phantom are Melusine. Marechaussee. The term Marechaussee is from the French Marechaussee, which is derived from Old French Marechaussee, meaning the Marshalsea. This derives from the Marechaussees attested in 1287, meaning royal household, and in 1465 as the office of the marshal, which is why they help look for bad guys.
竹影亭，我还是第一次听到这个名字。
对，这是一个直接隶属于最高审判官的特别行政机构。
Exactly. This is funny. Alain Guillotin, obviously the guillotine is the guillotine.
在400多年前。
So next thing I want to talk about is the trial court is Opéra Épiclès. So Opéra Épiclès, Épiclès is I looked it up. Épiclès is basically like of gods, or epiclesis is a prayer invoking the Holy Spirit, especially one offered in the liturgical context of the Eucharist, so as to chase the elements of bread and wine into the body and blood of Jesus. Or invocation refers to the invocation of one of several gods. In ancient Greek religion, the epiclesis was the epithet used as the surname given to a deity in religious contexts. Not to be confused with épice, which is spicy in French. But this actually, since that's where Lyney and Lynette are, I'd like to point out that the opera, there are multiple different types of opera, and certainly in French opera. What is opéra comique? Opéra comique is a French form of opera which spoken dialogue alternates with self-contained musical numbers. It's not like, think of like Offenbach, Orpheus in the Underworld, that kind of stuff. That's opéra comique, okay? Whereas opéra Garnier, in Paris, the Palais Garnier, the Opéra Garnier is obviously probably the most, as it says, the most famous opera in the world, the opera house in the world, a symbol of Paris, as Notre Dame de Louvre, or the Basilica of the Sacré-Cœur. That's where a Phantom of the Opera is played, and the Opéra Garnier is where, your quintessential opera is occurring. Opéra comique is not dissimilar to things like the Magic Flute, which that's a German equivalent of opera comique, but you could say any kind of Offenbach opera, La Petite Colle, Orpheus in the Underworld, different things like that. That's when there's dialogue and music. It would attribute it the closest to our modern day musical. That was basically what it was, but with a classical approach to singing. So just so you know, Travail means work. So I think it's kind of funny that Lyney and Lynette show up in a trailer called Travail.
我推荐的地点就是枫丹的德波。
Debord, archaic to flow beyond its banks, used as a body of water, obsolete to go beyond bounds, or I guess in the translation directly would be overhang, which is kind of funny.
This is no time for distractions. Seriously, you have a great magician standing right here. You don't want to miss the best part, do you?
This is kind of interesting to me because it starts with the piano, which is really mysterious and playful, and then you have this like classical guitar that's also doing the same thing. That we're really leaning on the playful confidence that we hear in Lyney. It's very effervescent and free flowing, but also the way that we glissando up with the piano and we're sliding around, and it's really she's a showman, and so we see that very plainly. You hear there, very playful.
Now disappear. Let's get this show on the road.
And that's a nice little transition into Lynette. There's a little bit of that. That's very, very playful, obviously they're deeply connected, and it's a really smooth transition into it. This music isn't like, it's hard. There's not a lot to super describe in this, but I think like, we're having an abundance of playfulness, and it's very casual, and it's like very on its feet. They're very quick, and they're tricksters in their own right, and they're very efficient, and they're very, very skilled at what they do.
He's saying some strange things again. It's really worrying.
Castanets are such a fun little gesture. You usually hear it in Spanish music, but I love that. I think it highlights Lynette's poise and the way that she spins. Also, there's she mentions that line. There's a bit of worry in that music when she talks, actually, which is really interesting. You can hear how there's a little bit of inward speculation, which is really, really interesting to listen to. Yeah, ba 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 ra ba ba. She's actually, I think, much more mature than Lyney, and much more thoughtful and considerate. And I think she realizes that she's playing a game.
Let the magic begin!
Here comes the finale.
It's easy to fix a machine when you know how it's built and how it works. But people, they're much more difficult.
And obviously, for Monet here, we have a lot more of a somber quality in that violin. There, he doesn't really want to be doing any of this. He doesn't want to participate the same way that his brother and sister do. He's much more stoic, much more contemplative, much more inward in his feelings and thoughts and stuff. That horn is really nice, though.
Pair! Commencing cleanup!
I just want to paint this. This is very much Claude Monet. The sunflowers are huge. I mean, granted, there are a lot of sunflowers in French, in the French countryside, but I think it's really nice that they're highlighting, the Claude Monet aspects here, and they even talk about it a little bit. This literally, I mean, this right here, this little corner, this could easily be Claude Monet. If you look at Monet at all, if you look up Claude Monet sunflowers, it's all right there. Look at all this. These are the famous Monet sunflowers. It's just amazing stuff. Poisson literally means fish in French, not to be confused with poison, which is poison. This is so exciting to me. So here's your ballet for all you Genshin ballet fans. And the thing is, a suite is a musical term. Dirge of Coppelia. The Coppelia is a type of ballet, and the nemesis of Coppelius, look at this. Coppelia has music by Léo Delibes, which is a famous opera composer, and La Fille aux yeux d'Immel, The Girl with the Enamel Eyes is a comic ballet from 1870, originally choreographed by Arthur Saint-Léon for the music of Léo Delibes, with libretto by Charles-Louis Etienne Noutier. And then it talks about the plot involves Dr. Coppelius as a doctor who has made a life-size dancing doll. It is so lifelike that Franz, a village youth, becomes infatuated with it and sets aside his heart's true desire. Svanhilda, she shows him his folly by dressing as the doll, pretending to make it come to life, and ultimately saving him from an untimely end at the hand of the inventor. And that's exactly what we're looking at here. Now, this could be Franz, or this could be, Coppelius, but it makes sense that the nemesis of Coppelius, Dirge of Coppelia, and nemesis of Coppelius. Oh, I can't wait to listen to this. The Dirge of Coppelia, obviously, is her slow dance, and the nemesis of Coppelius has to be France. That's so cool. All right, let's take a look at the concert. Fontaine Live Symphony. So this is interesting because we're using, this is very common. I mean, you have handbells that do this, and this is just like, depending on the levels of water in each of these glasses, they make different kinds of pitches. And so they're actually using, I love it, they're using glasses with water. We tried to do this in choirs all the time to elicit a sound quality of ethereal, water. And using water as an instrument for Fontaine is a lovely little move. And you just like, You make sure your fingers are wet and you just rub the rim and it makes a humming noise. Also, I love the flute in the background. We got a little bit of that mysterious quality there and a little bit of sadness and somberness. Obviously, I think this is reflecting the Hydro Archon quite a bit. Yada, 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 yada. And also, it doesn't sound perfectly on pitch, which is intentional. It creates a sense of like curiosity and a little bit of like wonderment, and also a little bit of feeling like of aloofness and not being completely connected with everything that's happening. Having that sort of feeling of not being fully on pitch is a little bit alarming and a little bit distressing, and it's really interesting, and it creates a fun soundscape that doesn't feel as solid or on terra firma, as you will, because we're dealing with water here. Yeah, and I think that alludes to some of the mystery and intrigue that we're going to hear. Also, a nice use of female chorus there. Super simple melody. Da 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 ya da da da. It's like 8 notes. Super simple, but it with using the whatever vowel they're choosing, nice and open. It causes a little bit of mystery. It's like a little bit sotto voce under the voice, but in general it moves. It's really nice and even, and it gives us a real sense of warmth in that vowel choice, and it causes a feeling of mystery still. And you hear how now we're repeating that melody with the flutes, but we're having the violins. That's really nice layering because we're repeating the melody while also adding to this sense of like intrigue. And I think intrigue is a huge portion of what this Fontaine music is going to be. There's a lot of mystery, a lot of things going on behind the back, and you don't see a lot of the things that are occurring. A lot of cascading too. The cascading as well could also be like water and stuff. And there's the accordion, of course. This is very much the cabaret. It actually has a little bit of polka sound in it, which is interesting. But in general, this bouncing quality here is the showman, the welcome to the cabaret. Like that's the essence there. But do note that this is mostly just repeating that same melody, just in different instruments. So the instruments are trading off, they're doing different things, but they're all kind of singing and playing the same melody that we've been hearing the entire time. But they're embellishing it and variating it a little bit so that it's a little bit more interesting to listen to. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This is very much welcome to the carnival. Oh, what magic is in store for us? We don't know. There's a little bit of a waltz. I don't think we're quite in 3 yet, but this is an interesting, like, welcome everybody. You know, it's very devious and mischievous too. Harpsichord, nice. Mandolin, this is fun. And that too, very, very, very intriguing and sort of under the surface kind of stuff there. I like this. I like this instrumentation very much. It's a little bit, it's just very, very playful with an edge of danger. Swell. I love the emphasis on piano, by the way. It's so wonderful to hear this. If you look at a lot of pieces, Ravel has piano concertos, Debussy uses a lot of piano, Fauré uses a lot of piano. I mean, piano is a standard instrument in classical music, but there's something about like highlighting it. Poulenc, all these French composers use piano to, you know, it does give it an essence of a piano concerto. Obviously, it doesn't sound anything like Ravel per se, but it's really stunning to be able to catch the piano doing what it does. There's your tension. Boom cha, boom cha, boom cha. Also, the solo is it's more interesting in this particular case to not use consonants and keep it to vowels, because the vowels actually give it more of a sense of wonderment and a sense of curiosity rather than like giving us consonants or words which would indicate something. You know what I mean? Having it be like sort of in the clouds, nebulous like that is much more interesting for us as listeners. Here's danger. This is, that sounds like, whoa. That sounds like ballet, or it also sounds like Baroque dance movements here. And of course, we're using the harpsichord, which is very standard in Baroque music. You think of composers like Lully or Gluck. There would be a little bit of harpsichord usage there. You have to understand that French musical tradition stems, hundreds and hundreds of years, and so this is, pretty in line with what you would hear, in a standard French piece from, I don't know, the 1800s, 1700s. God, that mandolin is slaying me. I love that they incorporated mandolin. The castanets are funny because Bizet uses a lot of castanets in Carmen. It's funny because Carmen is a French grand opera written about Spanish life and Don José and Carmen and Escamillo. So it's fun to hear the castanets, and I'm sure it's not a throwback to Bizet's Carmen, but Carmen is a French opera written in a Spanish sounding quality at times, and the castanets are used very frequently, especially in Act 2 especially. snare drum reminds me of the bolero. That's chills. Nice pullback there. Is it Celeste? You hear it, you hear that. Slightly off pitch, but totally on pitch, and obviously the Hydro Archon thing. Oh, Rondeau de fleurs et de rapier. So rondeau is a musical term. Rondeau, it's a form of medieval and Renaissance French poetry, as well as the corresponding musical chanson form. Together with the ballade and the verillet, it was considered one of the formes fixes and one of the verse forms in France, most commonly set to music between the late 13th and 15th centuries. It is structured around the fixed pattern of repetition of verses with a refrain. The rondeau is believed to have originated in dance songs involving singing of the refrain by a group attending with other lines by a soloist. The term rondeau is used both in a wider sense covering older styles of the form, which are sometimes distinguished as triolet and rondet, and is in a narrow sense referring to a 15-line style which developed from these forms in the 15th and 16th centuries. So this tends to be sung. But that's really cool. And so it's the rondeau, which is a musical term of flowers and rapiers, which is super exciting. And we're using medieval instrumentation here clearly to elicit that. So I'm very excited. Nice, like, it sounds like a ticking clock. What is this instrument? It's got a lyre back there. Ah, the battle music. Or is that a lute? Oh, nice. Nice cascading. Really cascading down here. This is not something you hear ever. You have the lute or the lyre. I think it's the lute. It's the lute. It's the lute. Combined with a mandolin, you have a duet with a mandolin and a... And this is why I continue to say that Genshin is thrusting classical music in such a unique and beautiful way. It's yes, nice rhythm. Dum, dum, dum. Listen to the way that they, yeah, longbows, baby. I like the tension in here. Nice swelling crescendo here. There's a guitar. Oh, that is stunning. Love the accordion implementation. Yeah. That cascading whirlpool. Oh, that's so pained. I love that. Look at that. Love the trills there. I love it. I also love that music is the first time where I actually feel like the stakes are really high. Like the stakes are high in a battle theme and it's not a boss theme. You know what I mean? Like that sounds both confident and it gives us a sense of worry and precaution because of the conflict that's at hand. It's really incredibly exciting. Let's fast forward now to the trailer and let's talk about that a little bit, shall we?
But a prophecy has been circulating around Fontaine. The people will all be dissolved.
So this music is actually, so obviously the people will all be dissolved into the waters. Now there's underneath here, there's a musical quality of pain and of sadness. I don't think this is something that the Hydra Archon wants. There is, you know, there's something, some sort of angst, especially
Dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain.
It's the weeping, the
on her
crying,
throne.
you know?
I, Focalor, hereby welcome you to the nation of Hydro and acknowledge the value and significance of your trip. Now, you may rejoice in this.
There's a little bit of cunning in here. There's a manipulation. Like, you are not going to get away with anything. Da-da, yada, yada, yada. Welcome to my home. You will not, you know, it's a little bit of, there's a command in there and also just a feeling of confidence and smarmy almost. Look at that. And of course, the accordion.
In your opinion, do you think
There's that
it's
melody
right to
of
treat a
Fontaine.
trial like it's an opera?
To the people of Fontaine, the line between a trial and a performance can be a little blurred. Welcome, one and all, to the Opera Epiclese.
We mentioned opera epiclese. Obviously, this is opera comique, not opera that, you know, me as an opera singer. It's not that kind of opera.
Watch carefully now.
The magician thing is really interesting to me too, especially when you look at some of the magicians that have come out of France, most notably, to my mind, which I thought was Harry Houdini, but it's actually Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin, who was a French watchmaker, which makes sense actually when we look at, you know, the clockwork and stuff. He was a magician and illusionist, widely recognized as the father of the modern style of conjuring. He transformed magic from a pastime to the lower classes seen at fairs to an entertainment for the wealthy, which he offered in a theater opened in Paris, a legacy preserved by the tradition of modern magicians performing in tales. So Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin is actually what this is based off of, which is really interesting. Not Harry Houdini, my bad.
Blink and you might miss it.
We covered this. Playful, enigmatic, like confident. Oh, I got this.
Step right up.
As he says, step right up, man.
And over here is my sister Lynette, who will be working as my wonderful assistant.
Ta-da! Step on up. Let the magic begin!
Effervescent trumpet.
Here comes the finale.
Jazz piano. Jazz organ, I should say. Now we're going to look at some effervescent type music, but there's always a little bit of like worry, and it's not like it's beautiful, but it doesn't feel safe. It's a little pained, especially this.
I want to spend some time at the bottom of the sea in peace.
Get a little bit of EDM in there. That beautiful guitar.
If you look up at the sky from far enough underwater, even the sun is soft on the ice. These fossils are all that's left of these beautiful creatures. I wonder how long before the rest of the world
Gentle
becomes part
piano
of this
melody.
underwater museum too.
Angst, sadness.
Wait. Who am I?
Now the organ. You know how I feel about the organ. This is cool. You have the cello. Boom, yada yada.
The water is gradually
Loss.
swallowing our memories. It won't be long before it swallows us.
Now the stakes are really climbing high. Yada, yada. That Fontaine melody, but now with an edge of deep darkness to it.
We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences accurately?
That cello. Ooh.
Rain. It's raining.
Building, 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 building.
We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized crisis.
Is this part of the show?
You've got to be kidding!
What happened?
Charges have now been pressed, and as such, a trial is in order. Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know and seek the protection of the guards.
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex. I believe this is indeed the finale.
Key change. Now we get opera.
Justice, your beloved drama, turning a blind eye to the suffering of the people.
In your eyes, the value of a human
Yes.
life is nothing compared
Stakes
to
are
those
so
cold
high.
laws you hold so dear.
Then you get your child.
So this is how justice is done in Fontaine. What a joke. You've got your rules. Well, I've got mine too!
We get that Fontaine, we get that, child music there. A light rain falls without reason. I mean, yeah, this is going to be really, really, really impressive and really interesting, and I can't wait to listen to more of this music, and I will absolutely be playing this either on stream or on my off time, probably on my off time, just because I really want to savor it and enjoy it. So I'll see you later. Hope you enjoyed this. This is a super long video. I hope you found it useful and interesting. It was fun to research some of this stuff with you, and as always, yeah, thanks a ton, and I'll see you later. Bye.